was in a text chain yesterday where a bunch of guys, our boys, all played basketball together, and so I sent a picture from like 12 years ago, and we were coaching the team, so it was a team picture, and so it was going back and forth about, the boys and, with this, that, and the other. But then it started on how we've changed, and there were like, I don't know, 10, 15 texts between when I had responded and then when I looked again, because I had taken a shower, and so I missed, but I wasn't that far behind, so I just replied, oh, yeah, it's because I've successfully transitioned from, boyish good looks to ruggedly handsome.
Mm-hmm.
And I sent it, and it was the end of the text chain. Like, nobody else texted, and I'm like,
oh no.
Oh, no. like, what happened? Like, I didn't know I shut the thing down.
Oh,
like,
they were gone.
You did it.
That was it. That was
Bam.
That was the end.
Stamp.
People were either offended or it was like a harsh reality. They couldn't process it.
Or no, they
Oh,
like,
yeah. Okay.
Why are they not making fun of me right now? I'm supposed to be. They're supposed to make fun of me right now. Like, why am I being made fun of anymore?
Yeah.
What happened?
No.
I wasn't. I mean, it was kind of serious, but
You opened yourself up and then they just left.
Or you just did the old guy thing and
I think everybody's probably just done.
Yeah, they had already moved
It
on.
was over. Like, dang it.
fun while it lasted.
I missed it.
Well, we're here to tear you down today, so don't worry.
Good luck.
I know. I brought my steel toes. I was saying before we jumped on here, I watched the Eddie Murphy sort of
Documentary.
documentary.
Rockumentary. No, sure.
Yeah, no, it's on Netflix. It's great. But during the they were interviewing different people. I think it was Jerry Seinfeld actually. And when he said it, I like paused right away and like wrote it down. I was like, I love what he said. There's a lot of truth in that. He's also a billionaire, so he could be just saying it. So like, what's the level of truth? I feel like it's something you've said before, Bo. In some way, it just resonated with me. So I wrote it down, and I wanted to share it with you guys. He was talking about just artistry in general, but he said, as an artist, you're left with two things: how great you are and how horrible you are. They're both lies. The truth is, did you give it your best?
Yeah, I think I paused at that point. I watched it too. Yeah.
I don't know that you were quoting them. I feel like I've heard you before.
No, we've talked about stuff like that before, but
Yeah.
I liked when he said it. I was like, it's just so true. Like, you're not as great as people say you are, and you're not as horrible as people say you are.
Right.
So find a truth somewhere else. And it doesn't have to be in between. That's the other thing too. Like, we think in terms of like, is it somewhere in between? And
Like a healthy balance of both. Or
it's just find a truth somewhere else. So his was, did you give your best?
Right. Oh, so you're saying that truth can land somewhere
It
else?
can be all kinds of things. Yeah. So relationally, in a relationship with God, the truth is you are who He says you are, and that your identity is based in Him, and that that's enough. And I mean. So there can be a relational truth with God or with another human being, or where that's where I'm going to land. A truth, I did my best, I gave it my all, or a truth I like. Look, we've talked about a truth like we like what we make.
Right. Mm-hmm. Do we like it?
Do we like it?
Yeah.
Do we enjoy it? Is it something that we're proud of and enjoy and happy to share? Or willing at least to share and be vulnerable with. But if it's based on the others, man. Nobody, unless there's a severe psychological disorder, humans can't live like that.
Right. Well, we see a lot of people attempting to live like that.
It doesn't work.
Yeah. The cookie crumbles. There's a crash and burn. I think that was even something that was mentioned too. Was most people that ascertained to certain heights of fame and notoriety usually had a fiery end, so to speak, but I think it was leaning towards how Eddie hasn't had that in some way, and probably because he didn't care so much about the critics or whatever, and when he was tired, he just stopped. It wasn't like the need to continue to get You know what I mean? Some people are creating for the accolades and for the notoriety and for the awards and things like that, and I don't know that they really drilled down too much on that, but it caused me to think about where I'm finding value. And I find value in notoriety. I have no problem with people loving something that I've made or that I've done. Like, I think that's, so I don't want to ever feign, this like artistic humility where I'm just like, oh, I just want to lock my door and create something. I don't care if anybody ever sees it. I don't think that's fair. But I also am finding complete joy in just creating because, I'm created to create. And so there's just value in that. And we've talked a lot about that, but, I think
just to be clear, that I believe that's true of you, but that may not be true of others. There may be some
for sure, yeah,
who really all they want to do is create and they don't really even want to share it.
Right. Right.
That's not me. I want to create and share.
Right. Right.
Desperately. I want to be liked too.
Yeah.
That's a preferable option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me. But,
yeah.
But
especially in your position, like you're in an open, like as a public, like you're not doing something from behind the scenes. You're doing something in front of the scenes, so to speak, and from a platform. And yeah, why would you want to be hated from such a visible spot?
But the crazy thing is, you want to be actually liked for who you are, not for giving people what a version of you, or I don't even like the version of you stuff, because then it really is, it's just fake and phony.
Right.
I'm play acting, which I can do.
Yeah.
And it adds there's another relationship there that we have to wrestle with. It's not just, you're not as great as people think you are, and you're not as horrible as people think you are. And then there's the you in relationship with yourself, and whether it's the confusion of that or am I doing my best, just everything else that would haunt you about you. It's like looking in and seeing that you're the bear, right?
Well, it's the same conclusion too. I'm not as horrible as I think I am.
Yeah, and
I'm also not as good as I think I am.
So that's just the other part of it. Where we have to make a decision as to where our identity belongs and where.
There's a line in an Avett Brothers song where he says, "The clothes I wear out there, I won't wear around you." And it's kind of like, I think the song's about like coming home off the road and being on stage, and that lyric has meant a lot to me. Like, just thinking about like being the same person, because people talk about that, like authenticity and stuff like that, but being on stage, and there is a performance piece, and so sometimes people are like, oh, you're performing, like that's an insult, and I'm like, well, what gave it away? Was it the microphone? Was it the stage?
Was it the epic
was it the
performance?
lights? Was it the audience?
Yeah.
Which cameras?
Which part of it felt like a performance? Hopefully all of it, because it.
Yeah. Then I did well.
That's an authentic expression, and it's not wrong. But like those clothes, like that doesn't translate to home. Same person, but different expression.
Yeah.
Because like to be on like that, or to try, that would be obnoxious and bizarre and goofy and weird. And so I don't look at those things as being like duplicitous, or even different It's just one thing, but you change clothes.
Different container.
When you come off stage.
Yeah.
You change, and that's good and right and appropriate.
Right.
But that's where I like finding that other truth, because if your identity is based on just this one segment or piece of who you are, then there is all this pressure. I mean, somebody yesterday said to me, when's your next book coming out? I go, I don't know. And they go, you need to write another book. I go, no, I don't.
Yeah.
And they're like, come on, you could write another book. I'm like, I could write probably a book a month.
If
I've got them outlined. I've got ready to go. I'm not going to write until, like, I have to write until there's this compulsion that can't stop it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's still over the last 15 years, 18 years is a book a year. Like, which is obnoxious. I don't have an audience for that anyway. So,
Oh, you're not, but you're creating because you want
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
yeah, I'm thinking about just writing them and like backlogging them and having them,
Having them ready
to be released,
in your 80s
When you're gone.
Oh, when you're gone. Sort of like mailing something before you leave, If anything happens to me, this will get mailed.
But it'd be like, oh, you're a writer. No, I do write, but no, I'm not a writer. I mean, I do that stuff to myself too.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were talking music the other day, and somebody was like, "Oh, so you play, you sing?" I go, "No, I'm a lyricist." And it felt so weird to put like a label on, something.
Yeah.
Because even then, it was like, well, that's not. I just let it go.
Yeah. Those kind of questions hit you right in the identity, because then you're trying to go like, well, you don't want to pigeonhole yourself, and then it's like, I can't answer this question in a sentence. It's like,
well, I mean, back to the identity piece. I think that's what I take, like with the Seinfeld quote on finding a truth somewhere else. Also, like so one of the things that Eddie Murphy, and you mentioned this, he took breaks from things. Like he didn't he's taken a long break from stand up. He took a significant break from making movies and things like that. And that's probably been seemed like, at least, I'm sure he was producing the documentary, so it came out however he wanted. But it resonated as a truth to me, or a true thing, that taking those breaks from what we might think we are or what people say that we are, those activities, to be is probably really healthy.
would you see that as like but then, reset would be even like going back to something. So it's not a reset, it's just a respite. It's just a rest.
Time for discovery, time for looking at it from the other angle, time for being active beyond that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember my son, who is quite the video gamer, and he would play a lot. You know what I mean? And after playing for so long, so I'd be like, "Hey, son, like, you can shut this off and find something else to do." Or no, there's nothing else to do. Yeah,
This is what I do.
this is it,
This
Dad.
is who I am.
Dad, there's nothing else to do. I mean, there's nothing outside. I don't want to go anywhere. So, and it's like, oh, well, you haven't gotten up to discover that. So,
Yeah.
do you want to do something? No,
I mean, for me, like living this out, being the senior pastor of a church, and like last Easter, I didn't preach on Easter Sunday at any of our outpost locations.
Were you sick?
No, it was great. I was there. I went and I enjoyed it.
Oh.
But I didn't speak. I didn't stand on stage. I didn't have, my role was different. And I was like, and it was kind of fun to just go, what's a preacher who doesn't preach on Easter Sunday? Like, what's that identity? Who's this guy now?
Right.
And am I okay? Yeah. Really okay. And that's important. I mean, that's just important. Like, I'm really thankful to be in a place that can facilitate those things and allow for them and encourage, and to where we're not basing our identity on our activity, which is what most people do.
Yeah.
You are what you do, instead of letting who you are determine what you do. Because if not, then you get it backwards and you think that's your identity. So you keep doing things that maybe it's a copy of yourself, and really stagnating and super miserable.
I hit that wall probably 10 years ago. I was transitioning out of something. I was transitioning out of worship leading at a church that I had been leading worship at for over a decade. And I remember it was a Sunday, and I was in Miami. On a vacation with just an immense weight. I'm just sitting there looking at the water, the ocean, and I know that there's a worship service happening. I'm not there, and I'm not doing it.
What does that mean?
The world was not spinning.
Can they do it without you? And if they can,
Why?
what does that mean?
Who am I? Right. So that I was like, I just remember vividly going, but then I just had a peace, and it was an inner peace, and I think it was only the peace that comes from God. Just like everything's okay. Like this right here is the most important thing to do right now, which is nothing. Just bask in that, and that started sort of an undoing of all, of what you were just talking about for me, of feeling, or even what you just said about taking that time to do something else and to discover, having discovery, like playing the video game all day. And this is what I do. I was in that mode. This is what I do. This is what I do. If I'm not doing it, who am I? But it was a sweet time to discover that and to rest in that. Changed my perspective completely, know, but I'm sure you guys have experienced times like that, obviously, but because I don't think you have longevity in anything without those times, like sort of those pit stops, or pit stops, I guess is a good way of saying it. It's not that you're not going to get back out on the track. It's not that you're not going to continue the race. It's if you don't pit stop, you're going to be out of fuel and your tires are going to blow. So you've got to get in. You've got to, you've got to refresh.
Yeah, my mom told us time and time again when we were younger, God cares first about who you are before about what you do, because who you are matters most, and will depict what you do next.
Right.
And then I have examples of that in my family, of people who didn't choose this identity or weren't able to become what they were going to become or what have you. Like my grandfather decided not to continue his music career to move his family and, keep all 5 kids together with, him and his wife. And like, that was a new life. And it was, but what do you mean you're not going to continue doing this? And this is what you're,
this is who you are.
Yeah, I know. I have examples on my dad's side of the family as well. It's just like, I've always appreciated that. I think some of that contributes to the joy I have in doing, in making it beautiful, right? Enjoying the art, enjoying Jesus, enjoying community this way, and kind of keeps it keeps me productive, and I know it keeps then us also productive in what we're experiencing and what we're enjoying and what the Lord is stirring, as opposed to something that we're trying to do or become, or I'm just like, it's never just satisfied even my ego, which I have, but
yeah, we all have that. I think it's like a boomerang for me. Like it's a nice boomerang. It's like, here it is, and I'm gonna hold it. And it's like unless I throw it, it's never coming back. It's just gonna always be here, and maybe I won't even appreciate it. But I've experienced that sort of thing where when I've been willing to release something and let it go and throw it and just not even know how it's coming back, because how does a boomerang even work? Yeah. But it eventually, and it comes back, and you catch it, and then you're like, okay. Things have a way of coming back when you let it go, I guess, which sounds a little cliche, but there's truth in it.
You think?
Yeah, if you love it, let it go. I mean, the cliches are true, though.
I'm just curious. The point of a boomerang is to hunt with, right? You throw it to kill things.
Oh, we kill. We kill and eat.
But then it doesn't come back. You got to go get it. I'm messing with your metaphor, I know, but
well, now we're going to the Outback.
Oh,
because I think steakhouse. No, it's yeah, I think it is. I think it was originally a hunting.
I think that's all.
Well, not the one at Walmart.
I can never get them to work.
Oh, they always come back. You got to throw them right.
I don't throw them right.
Yeah. You can't throw them down at the ground.
I'm just losing boomerangs.
You gotta somewhere. There's just some bunch of
Come
boomerangs.
back! Come back, little boomerang!
You gotta go get it. I didn't come back.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to drop.
And I don't have a dog to go
an
get
Eddie
it.
Murphy reference in.
The movie Boomerang?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
I was trying to tie in the whole documentary.
Oh, you're like taking us to school, like crazy school, like you're a nutty professor.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
see what you did there. Okay, so I'm still stuck on being versus doing for identity, and that when it's based on doing, then we become a caricature of self, and caricatures are when you think about like an artist drawing a caricature, they emphasize certain features and they become bigger than they really are.
right.
And I think that's part of the misery of allowing activity to determine identity, is that things become larger than they should be. They become emphasized more than they should be. So they're disproportionately represented in our lives, and so they carry too much weight, and that's a weight that we're not equipped to handle. Which would be the weight of you're not as good as people say you are, you're not as horrible as people say you are. What a critic thinks, or how somebody else might evaluate what you do. We've relinquished something that shouldn't be relinquished.
What do you think that we're relinquishing? You think it's like the true identity?
I think it's the truth. I mean, that was the answer that I had. I think we're letting go of the truth, and then if you don't have truth, then you're left with a lie.
As you're saying it, I'm thinking like, where am I finding this truth? And I've heard the Bible referred to as a mirror. Is that fair? Have you heard that, or have you seen it in that way, or is that am I thinking of a verse?
Well, I mean, there's a few verses.
Yeah, I
about
think there's something
Hebrews.
Paul said.
dimly as in a reflection, or
Yeah.
like someone who looks at their face and then walks away. And
Walks away and
forgets
forgets.
what they did.
Yeah. Right. The caricature thing is interesting because there's like, pick your social media platform, but there's, whole pages dedicated to guys that do caricatures, and people will sit down and it'll like show you their faces, and then it will show the drawing, and the drawing, like you said, it's just completely exaggerate. Like, if somebody has a little bit of a nose, it's like the nose becomes the entire picture. But it's even comedic. But if somebody was to take those pictures home, frame them, put them on the wall, and then every time they would just be walking by reinforcing this perception of what this person thought about them or how they perceived them in this caricature, that could affect your own identity. If that's all you're seeing of yourself is this exaggeration. So like you're saying, finding who we are, like finding the truth of who we are, is that found in God's word, who God says we are. And in that, it almost feels cliche to say it that way, because a lot of people say, I am who God says I am, but like, who does God say you are? Because I think that's that pushes it over the edge from just saying something like that to going like, what does that mean? And are the things that God says we are exaggerated from our perspective as well? Like God's, like I like he says, you're blessed and highly favored, or you're not, you're rich, or you're, all these different.
Well, my mind went to God says we are His.
Mm-hmm. Or we're heirs and co-heirs with Christ.
Right.
It's all. Yeah, I think all of that, but like,
yeah, there could be other things that encompasses, but it begins there, and that's our focus, because He does the rest, right? Being His so those things are all the blessings of being His.
Sure.
So you're saying like there's probably answers that surround the blessing that we get, but really we're defined by who we are and who he says we are is his. That's where we can be most confident and full of the abundance that he has for us.
Yeah, I think what I'm thinking is like in the same way that the picture is an exaggeration of what you might see yourself as, knowing that you're his, which I completely agree with that. But it's like there's all these things that, you know, like you're seated with Christ Jesus in heavenly places. It's like, okay, like is that a caricature of what, you know, how am I to live that out? How am I to experience that? You know, how would one go, well, okay, so where's Christ Jesus? He's seated, so he's at rest, he's at peace, he's with the Father. Is that where I am? And like, so it's making a decision to believe that truth. How do you live in that? You know?
I mean, thinking again about the guy we call the rich young ruler in the Bible who went to Jesus and said, "Good teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" Which is just a bizarre question. Mm-hmm. What do I do to inherit? You don't do anything. In order to inherit, you be an heir, and that's it. And the only way to be an heir is, to be a child, to be to share in the inheritance. And so Jesus, when he answered the question, he's like, "Okay, you still lack something. Go sell everything you have. Go give up this other identity, and then come follow me." And it was like he went away really sad because there was this caricature of himself. This is
the rich young ruler.
Yeah, he's got money and power and youth and what I want to hold on to these things and it's like when we're doing trying to prove or live that those caricature type things, then they just, like I said, they get exaggerated and they dominate and they become so great we couldn't imagine letting them go. It's too much. It's like, that's who I am. It's like, well, what if there's a better identity?
So I think it's then we're talking about rehearsal. We're talking about, or the way that I'm hearing it, and even the way that I do experience it is when you say be, you have to, at least for me, I find that I have a need to think about those things and meditate on those things and believe those things and be in those things. You know, I am a child of God, and, you know, I am favored by God, and God does love me, and I am his son, and he has died for me, and I am redeemed, and all of the different things that we want to experience and we do experience from being his. But it's something that it's like rehearsal. If you rehearse the wrongs that have been done to you, how would you ever move into forgiving somebody? You know, it's very hard to forgive wrongs done as you rehearse those wrongs. You know, does that make sense? Like, well, this person did this and they said that and then they did this and they did that.
No, it's like if you're going to rehearse a song, you don't play the wrong notes.
Right.
So these are the notes I don't want to play. I want to play all the notes I don't want to play.
Right.
That's not how you rehearse a song. You rehearse a song playing the notes you do want to play and you intend to play. But in life, I think we tend to rehearse
the wrong notes,
the things we don't want to play or be anymore, and we feel stuck in that. And
right.
So we end up repeating what it is we're rehearsing.
So what are we rehearsing? I guess that's
that's worship.
That's the truth.
That's what I think. That's what worship comes down to. Mm-hmm. Right. You know, you've made a decision. You believe, and not only are you adopted, but you adapt as you grow in the Word, as you be His. Mm-hmm. Every day, every moment, we have the decision to worship Him. Mm-hmm. And so to live in that is worship, right? Yeah. And sounds a whole lot easier, I guess you could say, when you compare it to all the wrong notes that we end up playing because we're, so
rushing through the song.
Yeah, our practice is a renewing of the mind. Our practice is, thine self. Those are the acts of worship.
As we write songs together, it's fun that we get to actually choose the notes that become right. You know, it's sort of in that creative seat, we get to go, these are the notes that are right. And when we pass it on to somebody to play it, or we have a band, or it's, you know, it's being shopped out for recording or whatever, it's like, these are the notes. This is the melody. This is what we want it to sound like. This is where the beauty is here. There's beauty in this melody combination. And so,
Wait, so you're saying the creator has authority to determine the notes?
maybe.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Maybe he does. Maybe he does. Maybe he's like, these are your notes. Maybe that's the being, you know. Dan, these are your notes. These are the right notes for you. And they might be the wrong notes for Bo, but they're the right notes for you. You know what I mean? Like this, you're your own song.